What's happening, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And tomorrow night, Chelsea get their League Cup campaign underway at home to Aston Villa. This competition represents the first chance of silverware for this coming season. Chelsea have won the League Cup previously on 5 occasions, 3 times under Jose Mourinho. And the last successful campaign was back in 2015. We did make the final under Maurizio Sarri a few seasons ago, but unfortunately lost to Manchester City on penalties that day. And it's a competition that Manchester City have had a stranglehold over the last few years. They've won 4 in a row and they're going for their 5th in a row this season, which is quite frankly scandalous. Joining me today to discuss the Carabao Cup campaign and look ahead to the Aston Villa match itself tomorrow night is my brother Kit. Bro, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Good to be here, pal. A true Blues Brothers podcast, finally.
Yeah, it's good to have you on for the first time. Kit, do you think that the League Cup then, it's a trophy we've taken seriously in the past? We've seen Jose Mourinho when he first came in, really prioritised it where other managers perhaps kind of were happy to cast it aside. Does Thomas Tuchel strike you as the type of manager that will take this competition seriously and wants to win every game of football that Chelsea are involved in?
Yes. In short, yes. Tuchel strikes me very much as a man and a manager who is going to do everything he can to win each game that we're involved in. Sure, you look at our season and we've got as good a chance as we've had in some time of a title challenge and victory, a Champions League retention, and in a highly, highly competitive league and a highly competitive European football competition. There's obviously a lot going on for us, but I believe that Tuchel is very much the type of person who's going to do everything with the squad depth that we have to go deep into this competition and win it if possible.
Yeah, well, I think so. And I think it's the first trophy, as I mentioned, that you can win this season, and winning becomes a habit. So I think we've got to, try and do everything we can to go as far as possible. And with the League Cup, you don't have to win that many games. And before you know it, you're in the final. It's about 3 or 4 games you need to win and you're in the final. So I think it's a great opportunity and it's something that we should take seriously. But as you said, it probably is bottom of the priority list in terms of the other trophies. But right now, it's the most important one because it's the first one you can win. In terms of the game itself, obviously Tuchel in his press conference this lunchtime was saying we're going to expect to see a lot of changes. Obviously, Edouard Mendy still ruled out through injury. He's hopeful to return against Manchester City on the weekend, so we'd probably expect to see Kepa continue in goal. I'd be surprised if we saw Marcus Bettinelli, the third choice keeper, play. I think that would perhaps slightly be taking the piss, no disrespect to him. In terms of the back line, I think there'll be wholesale changes there. There's the Daily Telegraph today reporting that possibly we might see a Chelsea debut for Malang Sarr, the centre-back signed a couple of summers ago in that big window where Timo Werner and Kai Havertz arrived, spent last season on loan at Porto. Obviously, Chelsea fans don't really know a lot about him, so it could be interesting to see him. I would expect, the likes of Trevor Chalobah to get more minutes. And an interesting one, Kit, someone who had a great season last season, whose last game of football, Champions League final, put in an outstanding performance, but obviously not playing a single minute in the Euros, having a bit of an extended holiday. That coupled with Marcus Alonso's outstanding form, Ben Chilwell is probably surprising to himself, found himself out of the lineup and struggling to get any football at all. I think he's played about 10 minutes against Zenit this season. What do you make of the situation that he finds himself in?
It's football. It's football, isn't it? I mean, you look at Ben Chilwell and how he came into the side and slotted in and put in some serious performances straight off the bat, and you're thinking, this is perfect. How well is Chile fitting into this team? He seems to get on with everyone in the dressing room. Seriously tight unit coming together. Amazing, Ben Chilwell. And then, not a notable drop in form, but Marcus Alonso coming in. Good time with Spain. And the system that we're playing right now, Alonso, where he is, he just offers so much more going forward. His left foot is fantastic. He's deadly at set pieces. And as we are right now, I do not see Tuchel dropping Alonso. So Chilwell's going to have to make a statement some way, somehow. And I don't think he can rely on Alonso dropping his form. So Chilwell is going to have to show that he's got more to offer going forward and that he remains the better defensive option. And that's all he can really do at this stage. So nights like tomorrow night are really big for Chilwell.
Yeah, it's
really?
it's a massive opportunity for Chilwell, to really showcase what he can do. But I agree. I think he's going to find it hard to get back into that side. He's got to offer a lot more going forward. Obviously, you want to be good defensively, but as a wing back, defensively perhaps doesn't matter quite as much. You've got 3 centre halves to cover you, and someone from midfield can also drop in if you get caught up the pitch. So he's got to improve his forward play. But I think that's something he's definitely got in his locker, and he will play games this season. We're going to go deep into a lot of competition, 60, 70 game season perhaps, injuries, suspensions, etc. So he will get his opportunity. But yeah, it's not been the start to the season that he would have wanted. But I just wanted to briefly touch on another couple of squad players that are expected to get some minutes tomorrow night. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a big favourite of the fans. Obviously, come through the academy, had a breakthrough season under Maurizio Sarri. I remember a hat-trick in the Europa League. And then ever since that stupid injury and that ridiculous pre-season friendly in the States before the Europa League final against Arsenal in Baku a few years back, he's just not been the same since. He went out on loan to Fulham last year, looked lost, couldn't really hold down a place in the starting lineup for a side that ultimately got relegated. Thomas Tuchel in a press conference saying that you would expect Loftus-Cheek, he's training really well to get a large number of minutes under his belt. How big an opportunity is this for him?
I kind of feel like here we go again. Every season you come into games like this in the League Cup, and you're thinking or for example when we were in the Europa League, and you just cannot wait to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You're gasping for him to start, and everyone wants him to do well. He when he plays well, he makes it look incredibly easy, and you can see him being a Chelsea star. It's just that time and again you feel as though he just hasn't put in the performances that he's needed to at the times that he's needed to. You see glimpses here and there, and it's just enough to keep us interested. And I think everyone would be gutted if he left the club. But I just don't know. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I think a lot of the time it doesn't get spoken about enough how tough it is to go in and perform, especially after an injury at the highest level in a highly competitive side like Chelsea. And I think I'm really hoping, as always, that he's starting tomorrow night and that he puts in a good performance and he's able to string a few together this season. I think it would be great for him.
Yeah, I just think he's going to have to accept that in the current system we play, he's not going to play ahead of Jorginho or Kante in that two in the middle. And he's unlikely to get a place in that front three either. So he's really got to make the most of his opportunities, like in the League Cup, in an injury, a 10, 15-minute appearance here. And he can become a valuable member of the squad. But for me, this is his last chance now at Chelsea. If it doesn't happen for him this season, a player of his ability needs to be playing regularly. And a few appearances here and there is not really going to cut it. But, we all want him to do well. So hopefully tomorrow night he can showcase his undoubted ability. And we might see a bit more of him this season, hopefully. But yeah, just another couple of players very briefly. Callum HudsonOdoi, when Thomas Tuchel first came in, he seems to be kind of in favour, doing really well, kind of in that right wing back slot. It's not really happened for him the start of this season. He's not a right wing back. He's wasted there. But it seems clear that he's not going to get into that front three. So he's probably is the second option at right wing back. I think he'll probably play tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'm a big HudsonOdoi fan, but I agree with you that right wing back position doesn't feel natural for him. And we were talking a bit ago. It was able to work for Victor Moses, who is a semi-comparable player, and he had that epic season under Conte. Whether or not that's something we're able to recreate with Callum HudsonOdoi, of course, there's Reece James. So it's a difficult time for him in this Chelsea side, in this Chelsea squad, for him to, in a similar way to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, that this system doesn't necessarily leave a huge amount of space for him, or an obvious space for him, because I don't think he's going to be able to break into that front three. So if he's able to adapt his game, if he is inclined to adapt his game in the way that we need him to, a la Victor Moses, then I definitely think that he can be, as you say, a valuable member of the squad. But right now, you look at Reece James and then Dave in Reece James's absence, and you don't really think about Callum HudsonOdoi outside of that. So Again, I hope he does well tonight. I think he's a fantastic talent. I also think he's at his age right now, a massive form player. You know, if he's able to start getting some contributions at what I would call his end of the pitch, at the attacking end of the pitch, then I think that's going to do him the world of good. So big night again for him tomorrow night. You know,
yeah, I think it's one of those again. Squad players, you just got to make the most of your opportunities. I personally feel he should have been let out on loan at that sort of age. You need to play at that age regularly to develop your game. I can't see his game developing enough at Chelsea to develop into the player that he potentially can be. He's just not going to get the minutes that he needs, but that remains to be seen. Just one last thing then before we wrap up with some score predictions. I feel Timo Werner's struggled this season again to get into the starting lineup. All accounts are suggesting that he's probably going to play tomorrow night. It's another massive opportunity for him. Like, he really needs to start converting these opportunities because they're becoming fewer now. He's not first choice in that front three. It's clear that it's Lukaku, Mount, and Havertz, and Werner's another one that's going to have to make the most of the opportunities that are given to him. Where do you stand on him, and how important would a solid performance be for him tomorrow night? And not in terms of his Chelsea career, but just his confidence as well.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Callum HudsonOdoi being, or I spoke about Callum HudsonOdoi being a confidence player. I think Timo Werner is that guy in terms of if he's unable to start to get onto a run of form, I think the the support that you see from the fans and the club of Werner and this kind of borderline sort of like, it's not humorous, but there's a definite hugging of Timo Werner from the club and wanting him to do well because we all know the player that he can be. As you saw glimpses of it when he first joined, I think that will begin to subside. And I think that will be a really sad thing. And I think that would be bad news for Timo. I think he's the type of player who would struggle to come back from that. You know, he's just come back into the league, and of course he's the prime example of this. But a guy like Ronaldo, you know, he's able to absorb bad performances or bad moments and use that as fuel for himself. I don't think Timo's got that type of mentality, and I think he needs performances. I think he needs results, and I think he needs goals if he's going to be able to turn this around. But I mean, you know, right now, unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. And speaking honestly, when I see his name on the team sheet, I get apprehensive. I'm not a massive Timo Werner fan, and I'm concerned about his future at the club.
Yeah, I think he's still got an opportunity this season, but I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he can't really pull something out of the bag. I think the club will look to move him on next summer. I really do. But you look at it, you know, he's not really the profile of forward that Chelsea go for. You know, I liken it to like Morata coming in. You know, some players are just not cut out for the Premier League. Morata is great in Serie A, great in La Liga. He bangs the goals in for, you know, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, and for Spain as well. Couldn't do it in the Premier League. Some players just aren't cut out for it. I don't want to write Werner off just yet, but it's looking like that the physicality, he just can't really deal with it. And perhaps he's just not a Premier League player, but, you know, only time will tell. But just very quickly now, just to wrap up, Aston Villa are going to be a tough proposition. You know, they made the League Cup final a couple of seasons ago. They're a good side. You know, I know we beat them 3-0 in the league, but that sort of flattered us a little bit. They had some great opportunities and played some good stuff. They too will make changes, but there's definitely a chance they could cause an upset for sure. So we've got to take them seriously. Kit, just a score prediction to wrap up with. Can you see us advancing to round 4?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there'll be goals at both ends. I think we'll probably win it 3-1. As my prediction. And we're obviously going to be making some changes and whether or not they'll gel straight away. But I'm confident with the quality that we have that at home we're going to be able to get a decent result.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think the clean sheet will stay intact just because of the pure number of changes at the back and sort of the perhaps lack of experience coming in. So I'd expect us to probably let one in. I'll go for a 2-1 win, advancing to the 4th round. But yeah, that's just myself and Kit's thoughts on the Carabao Cup 3rd round against Aston Villa, kicking off tomorrow evening. As always, guys, make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we'll catch you in the next one.